Thank you so much for joining in. My name is Leanne Vogel. I'm a holistic nutritionist and high-fat enthusiast behind the site healthfulpursuit.com, and I help women regulate their hormones, balance their metabolisms, and generally be awesome by eating more fat. Today is Saturated Fat and Your Health. We are celebrating the launch of my ketogenic audiobooks. So you can get them at healthfulpursuit.com/audio. The coupon code BUNDLE, all in caps, no spaces, can be used until April 11th to get 15% off. And after that, it will be full price for all the peeps. So this includes 9 hours of my audiobooks, The Keto Beginning and Fat Fueled, as well as all the recipes and meal plans delivered to your inbox. So it'll be one big old PDF that you can print or save, and you have all the recipes and the meal plans, over 60 days of meal plans in the bundle. And let's just start off by going through what is saturated fats. The way I like to see it is that fats are part of a really long chain, right? And depending on how many hydrogen atoms are attached to that chain is how solid or stable that fat is. So if you imagine flax oil, it can't be heated very well. It will go rancid really quickly. It has a lot of those pieces undone. So it's a very unstable fat. Whereas in the case of saturated fat, a lot of those molecules are intact, which makes it a lot solid at room temperature, and also allows it to be more stable, meaning you can cook with high temperatures and all is good. So saturated fat is that more stable fat. It's solid at room temperature, unless we're looking at MCT oil, because it's a saturated fat, but it's liquid because it's been processed. Anyways, so you can find saturated fat in animal products such as meat and milk and eggs and butter. And then you have things like nuts and seeds. And then you have your tropical plants like your coconut and your palm. So those are the two tropical ones. The really cool thing about saturated fats is that they contain so many nutrients. You have your vitamin A, vitamin D, K2. In the case of K2, like eggs, butter, organ meats, all of those will have the K2 in it. And that's super, super important for maintaining health and balance throughout your life. Now, going back to the fats and how they are organized, man-made fats like trans fats, on the other hand, are highly processed vegetable oils that have had those hydrogen atoms attached manually. So, yeah, vegetable oils. I mean, that's a conversation for another topic, but just know that vegetable oils is not what I'm talking about here. There are specific vegetable oils that I do use, like some people might think plant-based oils, vegetable oils, like I use coconut, I use palm, I use avocados. So if you hold your questions until the end of the Periscope, I'll be answering everyone's questions in just a couple of minutes. Research. So unfortunately, when saturated fats became a big thing in the industry, how we eat and in our diet, what they were doing and what the research was pairing it with was the health effects of dietary saturated fats were lumped into natural saturated fats and industrial trans fats. So basically, they just put a bunch of people on all of the fats, no matter what the quality, and then at the end of the study, they said, okay, well, saturated fats are bad and eating fat is bad. Well, no, they didn't separate out the good fats and the bad fats, because if you had something like grapeseed oil every day with some canola oil and some more corn oil, and you had that for 6 months, definitely your health would be affected and it would not be a good situation. But if you had things like coconut oil and palm oil and all of the high-fat grass-fed meats, then your health is going to improve. So I wanted to differentiate as well with the research, and just when you look at this sort of things, understand that there are good fats and there are bad fats. And a lot of this research doesn't differentiate between the fats. So what happens when we eat saturated fat? There's different effects depending on the specific type of saturated fat that's consumed. So the type of benefits that you will get from a coconut oil versus chicken skin is going to be different. I personally use chicken skin to regulate out my hormones. I totally love that stuff. It's so great, especially if you're sensitive to bacon or pork and you don't want to eat pork. Chicken skin is an awesome replacement. So let's go through one by one. First benefit is cell membranes. So imagine your cells as like these big circular things, and these walls need to stay waterproof to maintain optimal function. So they need to have like a very strong surrounding so that they can control when nutrients are passed in and out of the cells. So saturated fats help us maintain that really strong, awesome cell membrane. Our heart, certain acids in saturated fats are the preferred energy for lower cholesterol and energy production. So making sure that we're having saturated fats in order to benefit our heart is another big one. Bones require saturated fats to properly assimilate nutrients. So something really interesting about fats, and something that I'm noticing even after 2 years of eating ketogenic and fat fueled, is that my body was lacking vitamin A, D, E, and K, which are fat-soluble vitamins, because I wasn't eating fat. I was eating all the things that contain these things, but I wasn't eating fat in order to assimilate. So that especially becomes true for our bones. Like, our bones need vitamin D, and our bodies need fat in order to assimilate that vitamin D correctly. Liver. Saturated fats help protect from alcohol and drug damage. Yeah, I know that I don't personally drink. I did have a glass of wine last week celebrating working with a publisher and such. And I noticed that although I felt like crap the next morning, even from a little glass of wine, I, had my fatty meal and I was right back. But I remember when I was in my younger days and I would drink, and then the next morning I would have carbs, and then I would feel like garbage all day. I've definitely experienced that firsthand. Lungs help prevent asthma. Hormones. Saturated fats signal molecules for hormone production. I imagine our hormones being like a cascade. So cholesterol is at the very top. When we have enough cholesterol and enough fat in our diet, it's going to cascade through all of the hormones. And whether your hormones are too high, too low, usually when you have really high hormones, say you have really high estrogen, it's usually making up for another hormone imbalance. So I get this question a lot, like, should I eat this because of estrogen and fat and all the things? And I say, yeah, I mean, it's worth a shot, because the fat that you're eating is going to help balance all of your hormones. So your estrogen won't have to work as hard because your progesterone will be balanced and testosterone will be balanced. And generally your DHEA will become balanced, and that kind of cascades through, as well as the pregnenolone. So there's a lot going on there. Immune system. Antiviral effects inhibits tumor proliferation and induction of programmed cell death. That cell death is really, really interesting. I think it's autophagy and the release of our different cells. So antiviral effects are really true to the C8 form of MCT oil. So that's a medium chain triglyceride, which is made from a saturated fat, coconut oil. Weight signals satiety and reduces fat deposition, lower triglycerides, and promotes weight loss when combined with low carbohydrate intake. I mean, dude, seriously, when I went ketogenic almost 2 years ago, the weight came off so quickly it was almost too fast. In fact, it was too fast. And so I've been tinkering with my intake and with carb ups, which we are going to be talking about tomorrow. Tomorrow's audiobook launch party topic is going to be about carb ups. And what I've seen majorly is that fat deposition. I used to have these things on the side of my thighs, and I was quite, smaller at the time. I was quite smaller, but I started getting this like fat deposit on my thigh, and it was only on one of my thighs. And it happened for years, and I had no idea what it was. And when I started eating more fat, and specifically more saturated fat, like animal-based fat and coconut, the pocket like went away. It was so crazy. So that's what I had to share with you. I'm going to see if I can lower my phone a little bit. My legs are falling asleep because I'm sitting on the floor. There we go. Amazing. So that's all I wanted to share with you. I'm going to flip around the camera again, and we're going to see if we can get this audiobook bundle set up. So I have turned all of my books into, there we go, into audiobooks. So you can get them at healthfulpursuit.com/audio. The coupon code BUNDLE, all in caps, no spaces, can be used until April 11th to get 15% off. And after that, it will be full price for all the peeps. So this includes 9 hours of my audiobooks, The Keto Beginning and Fat Fueled, as well as all the recipes and meal plans delivered to your inbox. So it will be one big old PDF that you can print or save, and you have all the recipes and the meal plans, over 60 days of meal plans in the bundle. Awesome. I'll give you a couple more seconds to take screenshots. Thank you so much for all the hearts, guys. This is so awesome. Okay, so let's cut over to the Q&A. I have to be downtown in a couple of minutes. Amber and I are shooting a little podcast thing for Shaw. So I love peanuts. Are they healthy? Not necessarily. They're kind of fungal and stuff. Stopping birth control over 8 years. Suggestions on healing steps. Eat a lot of fat. Be patient. Give yourself at least a year for your cycle to regulate. And stay on top of it. Even test your hormones. Do you add chicken skin to your bone broth benefits? I do not. I try to make my bone broth as low fat as possible so I can add the fat back in later. Potato starch, is this good? Resistant starch, if you want to play around with that, yes, I would recommend starting very small, especially if you've been keto for a while. Thoughts on cod liver oil and how much? I'm not a big fan of the fish stuff because of my mercury toxicity. If you're going to go with cod liver oil, make sure that it is fermented. When do I know when I'm at a healthy weight? When you feel great. Yeah, I mean, my healthy weight is a lot higher than what I thought it would be, but this is where I feel the best and my hormones are regulated. Is there saturated fat talk in the audiobooks? Yes, there is. There's a lot of saturated fat talk in the audiobooks. And specifically saturated fat support, how to get there. Yes, definitely. Saturated fat is still healthy for non-fat adapted people. Is olive oil a healthy fat? You bet it is. Totally it is. Any more questions? Saturated fat, can kombucha and kefir be part of the keto diet? It sure can. It's one of my top superfoods for ketogenic eating. Should I increase my animal-based fats to create hormones? Yes, you should. I am underweight. Please, some tips. Eat all of the carbs and all of the fats all at once. And eat all of the things all of the time. And check your thyroid. What is the painting behind you? That is where I grew up. That is the farm that was on, the little barn that was on our farm when I grew up. My grandpa painted it for me. Do you have any info on casein in dairy? It is the protein in dairy. If you're sensitive to proteins like gluten, sometimes you will be sensitive to casein as well. How do you mitigate the carbs in kombucha? I really like water kefir because I find it's less carbs, and I usually enjoy that stuff in the evening as part of my carb up. Or water kefir throughout the day I find doesn't affect my blood sugar, and it has way less sugar. I really like Kavita. Does cellulite go away after eating healthy fats? It has with me, like that fat deposit I was talking about. Salt tablets for electrolytes. You can just take Himalayan rock salt. It's a lot cheaper. Should some use fiber to flush carbs? Yeah, definitely. You can pair them, especially if you are doing a carb up and you're insulin sensitive. You can pair that with fiber. I have not read Eat Fat, Get Thin yet. It is on my list. What's your quick go-to meat? Ground beef, grass-fed ground beef, always. Best vitamin C supplement, Buffered by, I can't remember. Check Now Foods. They have great stuff. Do you use MyFitnessPal? No. And yes, my shirt is so awesome, right? Vital Farms. They're so great. Have you tried You have to call them and ask, and they might lie to you. Some companies have lied to me about whether or not it's C10, C8, C6. So I only use a Brain Octane by Bulletproof because it's the only stuff that doesn't give me the runs and it feels good. I know it's super expensive, it sucks, but it works, and I maybe have a tablespoon a day. Oh, awesome. Thank you so much for finding me and reading all the things. Will I lose fat if I watch my calories while in ketosis? You may or you may not. I found that I did not have to watch my calories in order to lose weight. It totally depends on your body. Okay, we are going to cut it there. I need to go downtown and shoot this thing with my podcast partner. I will be back tomorrow, same time, same place. We're going to be talking about what a carb up is and why you need it. So if you have questions about carbs on a low carb eating style, and maybe you have fat fueled or you don't, and you have no idea what I'm talking about, I will definitely tell Amber that you all say hello, and I will leave you with this guy. If you don't already have the bundle, thank you so much for celebrating the launch of my audiobooks. All of the audiobooks include an invitation to my private Facebook group where we have over 3,000 amazingly beautiful people to support you, as well as myself. And I'm in there all the time answering questions and giving resources, and everyone's so supportive. So if you don't already have it, awesome. Thank you so much for getting the bundle, Robin. Alicia. Okay. Seriously, I'm sorry. Everyone says your name differently. Awesome. Thank you so much for joining in, guys. I can't wait to talk about carb ups either. It's gonna be so great. Okay, I will see you guys later. Have a beautiful day. Bye.